Hey everyone, welcome to our video on examples of community interactions. I'm going to show you some different community interactions in pictures, and I want you to try to identify which type of community interaction is it. You're going to choose from mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, and competition. So, what do you think is going on here between the clownfish and the sea anemone? In this case, the clownfish have protection from the sea anemone, and the anemone gets any food leftovers that the clownfish leaves. This is mutualism. Because both are benefiting, the clownfish get a home and the anemone gets food that the clownfish drop. Both benefit, and so that's mutualism. What do you think is going on here between the shark and the remora fish? In this situation, the remora fish is protected because nobody's going to go eat a remora fish if it's swimming next to a shark. But this particular remora fish doesn't do anything for the shark. It doesn't clean the shark or anything like that. All right, that's commensalism. So the remora fish benefits, and the shark doesn't really receive a benefit or a disadvantage. It is kind of neutral. And since in this case, with this particular species of remora fish, the remora fish is benefiting and the shark is neutral, that's commensalism. What do you think's going on here? This lioness has hunted and killed a zebra. That's right, it's predation. If one organism hunts and kills another organism to eat it, that's predation. What's going on here? There's one piece of food and there's a groundhog and there are some birds there trying to eat the food. Both the groundhog and the birds want to eat. That's right, it's competition between groundhog and birds. If there is a limited amount of food and two different organisms are trying to get it, then that's competition. What about here between this bee and this flower? In this case, the flower is getting pollinated and the bee is getting food or nectar from the flower. It is mutualism. Both are benefiting because the bee gets a food resource and the flower gets pollinated to help with its reproduction. If both are benefiting, that's mutualism. How about here? This is a deer and a deer tick. Now, don't worry, ticks are not really that big. It's just blown up so that you can be able to see it better. But in this situation, the tick is getting food by sucking the blood of the deer, and the deer is suffering because of that, because not only is it losing blood, but it also could be getting diseases from that. When it's both are really in a relationship together and one is benefiting but the other is being harmed, that's parasitism. The deer in this case is the host. All right, take a look at this picture. This is water buffalo and a type of bird called an egret. And in this situation, the egret is hanging out by the water buffalo, and they are not going to be attacked by other organisms because they're hanging out with the water buffalo, and nobody wants to attack an organism that's near something with big horns. But in this situation, those egrets are not doing anything to help or harm the water buffalo. Now, there are some birds who will eat parasites off of the water buffalo, but these egrets, they're not doing that. They're just standing there. That's commensalism. In this case, the cattle egret are benefiting because those cattle egret are receiving protection from the water buffalo, but the water buffalo are neutral. They're neither helped nor harmed by the egret. All right, here, a grizzly bear is eating a salmon that it has hunted out of the river. That's predation between a grizzly bear and a salmon. What about here? This is something really neat. I saw this in Belize, but there are certain trees called acacia trees that have ants living on and in them. And these are the type of ants, they're like fire ants almost. They can bite you and cause a lot of pain. So, in each of these needles on the acacia tree, the ants have a hollow area where they can actually live inside of the tree. The ants benefit because they receive protection from the tree, And the tree benefits because it receives protection from the ants. If an animal bumps into the tree and disturbs it, then the ants will come out and they'll start to bite whatever animal that was. So there's a benefit of protection for both the ant and the tree. In that situation, it's mutualism because both receive protection, both benefit. All right, what's going on here? At first, you might have thought this was predation, but it's not. Well, it is, it happened, but now at this point, it's a different relationship. Both the lion and the hyena want to eat the wildebeest who has been taken down. When both want to eat it and there's not enough resources, that's competition between lion and hyena. All right, here we've got a different situation. This is a fish, and there's a tongue-eating isopod. So in this situation, the tongue-eating isopod attached to where the fish's tongue is and ate the fish's tongue and has basically replaced the tongue. So in this particular situation, what I'm talking about is one organism benefiting, the isopod benefits because now it's going to get a good portion of the fish's food, and one organism is harmed, which is the fish, because its tongue has been eaten and replaced by an isopod. That's parasitism, if one organism benefits and one is harmed. In this situation, we have a praying mantis eating a katydid grasshopper-like organism. So this praying mantis is eating this katydid grasshopper-type organism. Good. If it's an organism who is eating another organism, that's predation. All right, here we've got a sea turtle and some barnacles. The barnacles are at an advantage here because they are carried around on the sea turtle's back, and different water flows through them, and they're able to collect nutrients from that water. And the sea turtle is neither helped nor harmed. The barnacles are not hurting it, but they're not helping it either. That's commensalism, when one organism benefits and one organism is neutral, neither helped nor harmed. All right, what's going on here? Again, you might have thought it was predation, and that did happen at some point in time. But here we've got one resource, which is the deer that's been killed. And we have two organisms who need that resource of food, a bear and a wolf. And they are, there's not enough resource to go around. So they have to do this community interaction. Good, that's competition. Not enough resources, then you're going to end up having competition between organisms. All right, last up, we have this interaction. This is a grasshopper type organism, an insect, and this is a horsehair worm. And that worm had gone into that insect and started to kind of infect it and take nutrients from it and eventually killed it. That's parasitism. The horsehair worm and the cricket is an example of parasitism. The horsehair worm is the parasite and the cricket is the host. Thank you so much for listening.